Serge Gainsbourg, the French pop poet and provocateur who courted controversy while scaling the heights of stardom over the course of his decade-spanning career, is the subject of an upcoming animated documentary from Logical Pictures and the company's The Joker's Lab documentary label. The film will be featured in the co-production forum this week at Rome's MIA Market. Based on a 1989 interview the fading pop icon gave with French cultural magazine Les Inrecuptibles just 2 years before his death, Gainsbourg, Rue de Verneuil, charts the life of a musician whose career was marked by public scandals, torrid love affairs and often abusive relationships, all of which drew widespread media attention to the famed Parisian, who died in 1991 at the age of 62. Gainsbourg is written by Gilles Kayat and Daniela de Felice and directed by Kayat, with Cyril Hoplain serving as artistic director. Logical's Frédéric Fiori and The Joker's Lab's Carol Mirabello are producing. The long-gestating feature traces its roots back to the late 2000s, when Mirabello met Christian Fevre, the French journalist who in 1989 recorded the intimate interview with Gainsbourg. Fast forward to 2016, and he handed me the entire collection of audio tapes, suggesting they might be the foundation for a film, said Mirabello. The conversation was so personal and raw, though, that I struggled to envision how to bring it to life through conventional archival footage. The veteran producer pressed pause on plans for a traditional documentary, and the tapes remained in a box for several years. It wasn't until 2023 that inspiration struck. The story would be best told through animation, capturing the unique encounter between a young journalist and an iconic artist, she said. She then began assembling a creative team led by Kayat, who developed the story alongside co-writer de Felice. An established writer and director with more than 3 decades in the TV industry, Kayat only came to Gainsbourg in the last decade of the artist's celebrated career. But it was propitious timing for the Frenchman. I was touched by his music, his poetry, his self-torture. I was a young adult at the time, so it was corresponding to what I was going through, he said. The period marked a sad coda to Gainsbourg's often mythic life, which began to dramatically unravel in the public eye. I'm old enough to have seen him on stage. It was an incredible memory. He was an old man before being old, Kayat said. He was destroyed by alcohol. But also, he was able to sing and interact with his musicians, and, of course, interact with his audience. Anything could happen on stage. He would stumble, he would fall on the ground, because he was a very damaged human being, physically, he added. He was a fascinating figure. Fevre's interview tapes provided a trove of material for the filmmakers to sift through, more than 11 hours, according to Kayat, including many sensitive inner reflections that had never before been published. I started connecting the dots between what he was saying publicly during the 80s, when he was drunk all the time, basically, and the life he had and his views on life, on himself, on women, on couples, on relationships, said Kayat. It all made sense. I was totally moved by what he was saying, this voice which was the voice of someone who was dying, said de Felice. A mother of 2 daughters, she said she was particularly interested in unraveling Gainsbourg's tortured relationships with women and understanding his efforts to battle his inner demons, finding in his final interview something like a confessional, an attempt to go to the light, to go toward redemption. Taking its name from the Parisian street where the artist lived for the last 2 decades of his life, Gainsbourg, Rue de Verneuil, presents unique challenges as an animated feature, according to artistic director Cyril Hoplain, who wrestled with questions of how it can be as modern, from a stylistic and visual point of view, as the storytelling approach and how to visually interpret the different periods of Gainsbourg's life. That meant finding a graphic style and visual material that are intrinsic, organically and sensorially charged with the Gainsbourg spirit from the very first glance, while also summon up the spirit of the original cassette recordings, Hoplain said. In the end, the artist decided that Gainsbourg would be entirely animated using a unique ballpoint pen style that he described as the ideal vector for transcending and expressing all the complexity and range of emotions that run through this interview and its protagonist. During the MIA market, the filmmakers will be searching for a broadcaster and an animation studio to bring Hoplain's vision to the screen. Though the film is based on hours of revealing confessions from the musician, resurfacing ugly truths about his checkered life, Kayat insisted, we are not putting this man on trial. This is not the objective.